From the time of Diddy's initial indictment, I said the Kid Cudi allegations might be the one that sink him, and Kid Cudi testified today. Kind of, I can see it being disturbing, and the jury find it disturbing. Kid Cudi receives a phone call from one of Sean Combs' personal assistants, who, like a secret phone call saying, "We're in your house right now." Kid Cudi had a home in the Hollywood Hills. Diddy, this assistant, and maybe a bodyguard or something, were walking around in Kid Cudi's house. Not clear if they broke in, or maybe they took the key from Cassie, or whatever. Certainly Diddy can hire people that knows how to gain entrance to houses. They opened Kid Cudi's Christmas presents that he had wrapped for his family. They put his dog in the bathroom, locked the door. Kid Cudi comes home expecting to have to confront Diddy. Diddy's not there. Diddy doesn't deny that he went in his house. They have a phone call about it. And then about a week later, Kid Cudi's Porsche truck has a Molotov cocktail thrown in it. So, back in the, 50s, 60s, especially the 70s, bombing cars. If you remember, you guys had seen Casino. It opens with Ace Rothstein's car being blown up. Bombing cars all across. It was happening. Jimmy Hoffa, they tried to kill with a bomb. Cleveland was called Bomb City, USA. There was bombing. The Hells Angels were bombing people. They were blowing up cars was like the thing. That's why the ATF is so hardcore, and they go anything to do with explosives, automatic weapons. They don't play around. But so blowing up a car, my point is, blowing up a car is exactly the type of act that might serve to prove a racketeering, influenced, corrupt organization act, a RICO violation, which is what would get Diddy the longest time. I don't think the sex trafficking is going to really stand up. If hiring prostitutes is going to get you a bunch of time in prison, well, obviously a lot of Americans would have a long prison stay coming. So what Diddy was doing a jury's not going to want to send him to prison for sex trafficking. Even though Cassie's testimony about the things they would do at their freak-offs is probably repulsive to most people. Her being number one in her mouth by a paid male escort and etc. But Cassie participated in many of these things. They presented text messages of her, "Hey, I loved our last freak-off," blah, blah, blah. Again, these things make Diddy look depraved, bad, manipulative, but when juries are, part of their calculation is not, are you a lowlife? It's, are we going to send someone to prison for a long period of time? Again, doing weird things with sex. There's all this talk of drugs. Only drugs they found, little baggie here, 4 pills there. He was pouring GHB. Well, where's the GHB? There's no evidence being presented of him drugging anybody. In all those lawsuits against him, well, why have none of those people been called in the criminal case? I don't think Cassie's testimony is going to get him a bunch of time. And Cassie, again, she stayed with him for years. She could have, at any public event, ran to the police and said, "Help, I'm being held captive." Now, as an older guy with a bunch of money and all that, society is full of asymmetric power relationships. Again, that doesn't constitute a crime. It could make you not like Puffy, think of him as a bad person. Is it something you want to send him to prison for a long time for? Now, several people have testified. Dawn Richard, maybe a stylist, Aubrey O'Day, Danity Kane, I think there were some men too, of seeing Diddy punch Cassie in the mouth and stomach at public events. Shut up, get in the car. disturbing behavior, criminal behavior, assaultive. They're past the statute of limitations, and I don't think those are being charged as crimes in and of themselves. They're part of the pattern of RICO. But being a woman beater, again, bad. It's not. Is that? Was he doing that in furtherance of Bad Boy Records being a RICO operation? That's quite a big stretch. People don't go to prison for 15 years for beating up their girlfriend. They go to the county jail for 90 days and get 2 years of probation. You could agree with that or not, at being right, but that's reality. But blowing up a truck, going in someone's house, these are like mafia-like intimidation tactics. I mean, if you believe, if you believe it. So, Kid Cudi's testimony to me is the most damaging thus far. This is what places Diddy outside of just a guy with too much money who's gotten into drugs and weird sex stuff and beats up his girlfriend, who chooses to stay around because with the occasional beating comes the lifestyle. You're at the Met Gala, blah, 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 blah. Cassie's mother testified that she once took photos of Cassie's bruised body. But, again, like everyone always says, that's the time to go to the police to leave. When you go back, it's like hey, I'm going to take the bad with the good. And these are not poor, desperate people. This isn't some girl being pimped out of a motel room on Figueroa who has nowhere else to go. She could have left. So to counter that, the government brought up one of these expert witnesses that they hang a lot of their cases on, a woman psychologist who deals with spousal abuse and blah, blah, blah. And she talked about the patterns of, that a woman will stay with a man because she loves him and all that. But the defense attorneys they didn't ask her a ton of questions. They simply said, well, do you know anything about this case? Did you interview Cassie? Did you review the case files of this case? No. So she's just speaking theoretically. She came out, she gets $6,000 a day to testify as an expert witness. She's only ever testified for the prosecution, and she's never, I guess she has some degree, and she calls herself a psychologist. She's never published a research paper, so she's no academic. She's someone who's made a career doing this. Is that good? Is that bad? For the jury to decide. I think that she's not going to be that helpful to the government. I don't know why they put her on with her and not even having interviewed Cassie or any other victim. And then you came to the Kid Cudi stuff, so I was thinking going in, I was waiting for Kid Cudi because I was thinking up until this time, hard to see Diddy getting. And when people compare him to R. Kelly, of course, you have to always remember R. Kelly, they were underage. So it's a totally different thing. This is not really the same thing. Now, are they going to present any of these so-called illegally obtained, or, these Diddy supposedly taping these freak-offs and nobody knew? I don't think that's on the evidence docket. So where is all this stuff and the 1,000 bottles of baby oil? I mean, the evidence thing, the photos they put in evidence were 2 bags with 30 bottles of baby oil. Still abnormal, but I mean, sex parties go on in America like regular people. I mean, that's why they have something called swing. There's swingers clubs and lounges. I mean, if you're in a major city and you Google swingers club, like there's one around you, like people do this stuff. He was just doing it at a more elaborate level. because they have more money. But again, it's not really criminal. I mean, beating up Cassie is, but even if they were to punish him for that, that's not. Domestic abuse is a crime, a felony, but you don't go to prison for 10 years. You don't go to federal prison for 10 years for beating up your girlfriend. You just don't. So Kid Cudi's now on record about Diddy broke in his house to intimidate him, blew up his truck. Now, if you now can get, let's see, they had, Diddy's one-time personal assistant who talked about bringing him drugs and seeing him hit a girl. Again, okay, you're on drugs, and this is, if these people weren't famous, this is just, it was like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. They just sound like a drug addict, your standard drug addict couple. You may have had one in your family, or you see them in your neighborhood, the crackheads down the street are fighting again. What do? They smoke crack, they have some bizarre sex acts, and then the drugs wear off, and they fight. And again, this isn't something that doesn't, it's not normal, but I mean, it goes on all over. Diddy, again, he's just famous and had money. Which brings me to the word scapegoat. So societies from time immemorial love scapegoats. In fact, that's what a sacrificial animal is. The birth of all the religions of the book, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, begin with the scapegoat of a little baby, of Abraham hearing a voice telling him to bring his own son to somewhere and to honor Yahweh, to make a sacrifice. But then Yahweh said he was just testing him, he didn't have to do it. But having one person as a stand-in for the problems of society, this is standard. El Chapo, Pablo Escobar. It doesn't mean they're not guilty, but when you're using them as, we got this one person, so that's the illegal drug business, we've taken care of that. Or, we sentenced, we executed Tookie Williams, so we handled the problem of street gangs in L.A. Well, no, you didn't. You just, right? Diddy and Harvey Weinstein certainly seem like predatory, unlikable people, guilty of some criminal acts. To what magnitude? But why, to me, and maybe this just because I'm a professional entertainment person, though I'm not. I mean, I do my own thing as I interact with those people, but I live in LA. I mean, I cross paths with different people and hear about different things. It's not so much that the entertainment industry is run by horrible people who prey on innocent, sweet people that just want to sing. The kind of people that want to be in the entertainment industry, like, if you're born with some great voice, or you can play the violin when you're 8, or, whatever, you'll naturally end up in the entertainment industry. I'm talking about the people that are, if you're hanging out at a studio, or you're a woman, you're a 20-year-old, like the Harvey Weinstein thing started with a 20-year-old woman who had been runner-up in a Miss Italy contest, showing up to his office to discuss her getting like a big part in a big movie. Why would she, a person that, had never taken a drama class, why would she be acting in a big movie? Her looks could get her a small part, but why would she be someone delivering dialogue? She's not a trained actor. It'd be like, me wanting to play for the Lakers. It's just like, why? You're not qualified. So, of course, they're there to trade something. And if you get put in a movie or someone puts an album out, make a lot more money. I mean, even if they cheat them out of 90% of it, they make more money than stripping at the local hole in the wall or selling mouth on a list trawler, right? Which is what half of these slores would be doing. And I'll tell you a personal anecdote. It's not a lot of these women that are at the edges of the entertainment, that are the so-called victims of everything. Not to say some aren't, because some are, I mean, for sure. But after I'd already had my little dabbling with like, oh, I'm going to mess with some rappers and make some stuff, and realize like all the people that had the work ethic and organizational skills to actually do something, they're just doing something on their own. Like if you can make a song that sounds good, they can open a TuneCore account and upload it and get a video made and go around and promote it. I mean, what did it need me for? So the people you're left with dealing with might have talent or be able to do stuff, but they're not going to feel like doing this or that. They got personality issue. You know, you'd be like, oh, well, you do a video with the song, maybe so-and-so, don't get along with him no more. And they're like, okay. So I'd already, like, I'm not messing with none of that. So, woman I know, professional, I'm a lawyer, basically had a female relative young that she bumped into that played her some one demo song. And so she's like, oh, I'm going to sign her and do this and that. Do you want to be part of it? I'm like, ooh. But you can, that's when I had my office, like, you can have your meetings or have her over here, and we got a little studio up there, you can mess around, but I don't, So the reason I predicated that I wasn't involved in it, because I want you to see how it's all these girls mainly, but it's boys too, that because someone told them they were cute once, and they think they're supposed to get some, they're supposed to show up somewhere and be whisked into, they have these pretty woman fantasies. So this is not about me or some man trying to get something from her. This is her own relative. She starts telling a woman I know, the lawyer, what's going to be my monthly hair and clothing stipend? She ain't made a song. She's singing over some beat. It's not even like, she ain't in the studio making a song. She wants to start being treated, well, it's the sugar baby syndrome. It just wasn't involving a man. She wanted her relative who was signing her to just, and the sugar baby thing is, if you really understand what that is, what it's supposed to be is just someone just gives you money. And maybe sometimes you have lunch with them or you talk to them on the phone, which is totally crazy. That's like a fantasy. Like a girl I know married a rich guy, and then it all went bad. And I was like, well, what did you think was going to happen? Oh, it was like Pretty Woman. I thought I had been whisked away. And I said, well, Pretty Woman was a movie about prostitutes. Is that how you met them? And she got quiet. But, so a lot of people willing to be taken advantage of in exchange for the perks, and then now they're all victims, and then there's an industry around making them seem like victims. And if you haven't been exposed to these kind of people, like if you're a federal prosecutor, if you're a regular person that deals with regular people, and you ain't used to being around whatever pretty girls from low-end households, well, I've known many of those. They're acculturated into some bad behavior. It's not their fault. In fact, to be a cute girl and not from the greatest family background, it probably has more downsides than upsides in the long run. Because by the time you figure out that it's cool to be cute, but it don't really, if you're just trying to get someone to give you a couple $100 or take you out to get something to eat, but like it ain't gonna get you a house or a career, you gotta do other stuff. And if you don't have a personality to be around, if you're dumb, can't be around actual people with money, you're just going to get used and abused and discarded because you ain't shit. It's another one of you if that's all you got. And I think there's a lingering backlash of the Me Too movement. Again, just like Black Lives Matter and Me Too, the core idea of women are often mistreated in the workplace, abused, made to do stuff. Same thing, why are black people's life expectancy lower? These are real problems, but they quickly got hijacked by other groups with other agendas. So the Me Too movement, now mind you, we live on a planet Earth where unfortunately, when you get outside of certain countries, when you're in a lot of the parts of the world, I think a lot of girls' first sexual experience is against their will, probably with a relative. You can fly to different countries, Vietnam, Cambodia. Courtney Brown Jr. kind of witnessed, there's a country in Africa, the Gambia maybe, and he's been all around West Africa, and there he's bopping around, and there get into this area, and there's like a couple white men with 9-year-old boys on their lap, kissing each other, and he's like, this is totally shocking. And out of reflex, he goes to go over and assault them or something. But the police are there and they grab him oh, no. We're going to put you in jail. Because these people pay to come to do this. You go up into the mountains of these villages and these people sell them their children. So in a world where that stuff's going on, the Me Too movement's face quickly became middle-aged white actresses wanting money because years back they had traded themselves for a career, and now that the career was fading, they wanted to get paid again. And one of the few television personalities that me and my father used to love Anthony Bourdain, and he killed himself because of that bitch Asia Argento, whatever her name is, who was one of the people prime in the Me Too movement. Harvey Weinstein raped her, but then she dated him for 5 years still because he was powerful and she was scared of him. It sounds like Diddy and Cassie. Yet, she, whatever went on with her and Anthony Bourdain. Well, no, I'll tell you what went on with her and Anthony Bourdain. Right before he committed suicide, he had paid $180,000 to settle a claim against her from a boy that was 17 that had been a little boy when she acted with him in a movie. That she had sex with him when he was 17. Anthony Bourdain paid this out. And then I think as it dawned on him, wow, I got up a can and talked bad about the film industry, and now this woman, and then she went and in public was, kissing some other guy in public and all that. So, a real destructive, some women can have a real malevolent, dark energy, and if they were attractive, or they are attractive, and they're used to getting their way in a certain type of attention, like my mother was like this, when the tide turns and they can't, everything is not at their snap, they get real dark. And the smarter they are, the more, their ability to construct destructive situations and narratives increases, and that's what they do. Whatever Cassie did, she got $30 million for. As women, you don't have to search the dark web. You can go on one of the two most popular, Pornhub or Xvideos, and you don't have to verify your age. You can very quickly see people going number one on women, and I assure you they didn't get $30 million. They showed up to the set and did what they got paid for. As did Cassie. But back to Kid Cudi. This is a problem for Diddy if the government now introduces a few more incidents of people being threatened with the gun and forced to work a little late. You may have a RICO there. I think that's what the case hinges on. They got to show more violence. The Kid Cudi thing was a start. I just don't see how the SEX stuff and a little bit of drugs, I just don't see that being something. Maybe the jury will dislike it enough that he gets convicted of something that he has to do a few years for, but giving somebody 10 years or life or something for it wouldn't be right, wouldn't be just. But if he created an air of total fear around himself through acts like blowing up Kid Cudi's car, and if they could show others, maybe you got a RICO there. Maybe you got a RICO there. So that's what to look for as you watch the rest of the trial. A lot of, I think with this trial, with the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, with different of these Hollywood things, to me, and maybe we all look for different things, you get an insight into that the entertainment industry, and this isn't anything new, the look at me, it attracts damaged people that are empty inside. Something happened to them in childhood. They didn't get love. Street people are like this. People that spend their life outside. And when you're a young guy, starts you selling the dope and you outside. And then as you get older, it turns into you the one buying the dope. And you're the trick and not the pimp. But you're always outside and in the mix with strangers looking for some experiences to cover up your pain or the meaninglessness of your life. And that's what, certainly not everybody, there's plenty of hardworking, talented people in the entertainment industry, but all these people that are just there, like Cassie, like, what, she's not a singer, like, did he manufacture that one song, that Me and You song for her? But you could tell, like, you could have took a lot of people and made that song. Wasn't her, she looked good. He signed her to a 10-album deal. Hey, man, you know, adults have responsibilities. You turn 18, you turn 21, you can enter into contracts. And frankly, many, many women and little girls have suffered and suffering right now far worse things than what did to Cassie. And they didn't get the lifestyle or the $30 million to go with it. And where was Cassie's mother in this? That's another thing. On the low end of society, not all, but families that have an attractive daughter, believe me, I've seen it. Again, like I said, I don't get into weird predatory stuff, but just even being just around and people, oh, you should meet my niece. And I mean, if I happen to meet your 20-year-old niece and we liked each other, well, that's legal. I mean, I wouldn't. But bringing your very young daughter, or because I'm the only person you perceive as being successful or having some money, and when you go to like South America and they specifically like, you want to meet my sister? You want to meet my daughter? You want to meet my wife? Like, it's very flagrant because they don't have a lot of economic opportunity. You're American, and they'll cut into you. And I'm not talking about you're out looking for it. They approach you. That's why I don't like going to South America or the Caribbean. It's too prostituting. Other than Costa Rica. Costa Rica, I'm sure that stuff exists, but you would have to go find it. I don't like being approached in the street about drugs and prostitutes. That's supposed to be, you're supposed to have to knock on a door somewhere, and that's where that happens at. Oh, funnily, this is off topic. Someone was just in Cartagena. I went to Cartagena years ago. They just showed the whole airport is full of black guys from America that going down there to trick. Getting on a plane to trick is the lamest shit ever. I mean, listen, you a guy in America floating around that gets out and about. You may have some evenings where you do some tricking, but the rule is, and not that this even makes it okay, it should at least be spontaneous, like, oh, I was drunk and this or that happened, or she was right there and spur of the moment. But getting on a plane to go prey on because the reason they're getting on a plane and they like Cartagena is the city in Colombia that has more African DNA. So there's a lot of girls in Cartagena that look like a black girl in America. So you some guy that wants to buy pussy in Atlanta or Chicago or Detroit, and you find out, oh, there's girls that look just like this down there who got less mouth on them, and they only $80 or $100. So they're flying for discount pussy, which is, does Al Prophet's rule for you. It's not okay to do low life activities, but if you happen to do some from time to time, it's acceptable. If it happened at the spur of the moment, you are not allowed to plan drug use or pussy buying in advance, nor to travel a long distance to do it. You then are outside the realm of like, oh, okay, everyone isn't Mr. Cool Guy every single day. But when you travel to do it, you're an official lamb. But look for them to introduce more acts of threats and violence to go along with Kid Cudi's. That's the only way they're going to get Diddy for a RICO. Prior to Cudi's testimony today, I was looking at an acquittal. I think the government finally put something up that's bad. Al Prophet, America Dope.